Hey everybody, welcome back to Northernlion, plays the Binding of Isaac Afterbirth Plus. 25 wins in a row as you hit the question mark and you embrace the chaos. We're going to be a middle tier character, Maggie. I shouldn't say middle tier. You know what I mean when I say middle tier. I mean middle of the board. FETJ 3R32. Oh my god. He admitted. Holy Mantle on the character with infinite HP. You'll love to see it. Here's the thing, you're going potentially, another easy win. Well, we don't know that yet with our damage. Look, it's a great start, obviously. Very lopsided. It's like your hockey team being up like 4-0 in the first period, okay? What if Nate Silver had to predict your odds to win? He'd probably put you at like 99.5%, sure. Our only job is to make sure that 0.5, you know, becomes a 0.00. Repeating, of course. But I don't know if the run's gonna be good until I press the space bar. And the gods of RNGesus, they choose. They choose whether or not it's good. So you're sitting at home going, another good run. I'm going, oh my god, another good run. Let's do it. Anyway, it's still Monday. Had a good day. Had a great stream. I'm very blessed lately. Like Northernlion Tries has been good, despite the fact that I apparently complained about it for the entire episode that went up yesterday. It's not really, I'm putting it out of context. You know, Isaac's been great. 60 seconds reatomized has been great, and also, you know, it's an easy game to play. It's a lot of fun. And, you know, we've been doing this Spelunky Golden Goblet tournament thing, and I've hit, like, my stride in Spelunky at exactly the right time. If you haven't watched the tournament, it will have probably finished by now. It's not really a tournament. It's a showcase. An invitational. If you haven't watched it, go watch it. It's been a lot of thrills, some chills, and of course, it's Spelunky. The occasional spill so far as well. But I'm telling you, do not watch it. I mean, this might prove to be prophetic because we're only like 3 days in real time right now. But do not watch it expecting to see your boy NL dying to snakes on floor 1. Let me tell you that. I don't know why I'm talking like this. I can't reverse the cadence. Kind of a weak send, but I'll take it. Let's be honest, we don't need 5 HP unless we get the world's greatest deal with the devil of all time that has 5 items we want to take, and even still we could take 4 of them and we still have Holy Mantle backing us up. So what's the dream? Honestly, I would love to fight Famine and get a cube of meat. That plus Holy Mantle is pretty much the whole run at that point is sewn up. I don't want to take any of the tension out of it, but it is pretty much the meat and potatoes of the situation. It's going to be real tricky to fall behind if that happens. We don't even need to take a deal with the devil if we get an orbital, because we basically, you know, we got like a plus 10 damage upgrade just from that. So we don't need to talk too much Isaac. But yeah, you know, on top of that, you know, the stream went very well today, and, you know, yesterday was the pentathlon. We won the pentathlon. So it was our 3rd attempt, but still. And, you know, people were stoked about that. They had a good time watching it. You know, it's been a great, little period on YouTube and Twitch. Again, I'm blessed. Now, if you could choose as a YouTuber when to peak, January is not a great month. It's notoriously the worst month for ad revenue, but hey, we're taking it as a building block for the rest of the year. You can workshop our ideas in January, look at the A/B test, look at the analytics, and then in October, start deploying non-stop viral content. Isaac Tournament. Tier list of Isaac items. I don't know. A tier list of Isaac items, for real, just sounds exhausting. But I brought it up to Sinvicta, and he was like, yeah, it was exhausting. And I was like, you did one? I think he's already done one. I think he, actually, to be fair, I think he did, like, 4. Because he was like, he put all, like, the boss items in one, all the spacebar items in one, or something like that. Which is completely fair. Look, there's some YouTubers out there, they can upload, like, a 9-hour-long video, people will watch it. Like Purge reading the, you know, Dota patch notes. That's not for me. Because, like, if I'm recording for 9 hours, some of that's got to be Isaac, dude, or I'm gonna fall behind. It's the honest to goodness truth. Sorry to this man. I hope it doesn't sound ridiculous. I don't know this man. He could be walking down the street. I wouldn't know a thing. Sorry to this man. Very interesting indeed. The D Infinity, which starts with a D6, which gave us Dr. Fetus. I've had everything in my life here handed to me on a silver platter. So this is where now I jump on Twitter and tell people I worked for it, and if you want what I've got, pull yourself up by your bootstraps. Shouldn't have done it, but I thought about it, so I did it. Just peep this real quick. Definitely not worth it. Let's reroll. It's not so bad. Hey, we gotta have some fun on this run. It's too good. We gotta inject some spice at some point. We want this run coated in buffalo sauce. ONL, buffalo sauce isn't actually that spicy. You should... I have a hot sauce made with Butjalokia crossbred with some Carolina Reaper peppers. It's called Nuclear Butt-splosion. You have to sign a waiver before you can consume it. And if you have ulcerative colitis, it just eats a hole through your large intestine. Okay, that sounds great. I'll have none, please. Not that kind of guy. You got a Frank's Red Hot Sauce? I'll take that. No? How about a... I mean, to be honest, Frank's is not my favorite hot sauce, but it's up there, to be straight up with you. Just because it's not made in some dude's bathtub doesn't mean it's, you know, any less merit. Where was I going with this? I don't know. I got angry. You know, what hot sauces do I buy for myself? Very smart. But at least we have Holy Mantle. I'll buy a Cholula. Cholula's probably my go-to hot sauce. I like to have some kind of, like a more Asian hot sauce as well. Like, I mean, I like Sriracha okay, but I like Sambal Olek more. Yo, does this work? It does work. Not great because the bomb's gonna blow the enemies up anyway, but it's interesting. And of course we have gochujang. Gochujang's popping off. It's the Korean spicy pepper paste. If you've ever had like bibimbap, it's used in that. I mean, it's not used in that. That's like the only spiced ingredient. If you ever want to, here's an easy recipe for making bibimbap, okay? Cook rice, cook meat. Well, you're like, what meat? What's your favorite meat? Put it in there. Ham? Sure, okay. Fish sticks? Look, you can make it work. That's a mulgogi bibimbap. That's one for all my bilingual viewers, or perhaps maybe you're a unilingual viewer, and you only speak Korean, in which case, you're like, finally! My subscriptions provided value to me. I will say, if you're watching this and you speak only Korean and not English, there's only 2 use cases. There's only 2 situations where that could come to pass. One is, you are watching this video because it happened to be put on by somebody else, like perhaps your, you know, your son or daughter is like a fan of mine, and you know, you don't even know what I'm saying right now, and that's okay. You know, by the way, Sometimes, anytime you touch upon something that's, and this is not even, in my opinion, vaguely touchy, but sometimes people will be like, wow, NL, F people that don't speak English. I'm like, are you even listening to what I'm saying, dude? You know how many times I'm the grandma in the room, and Kate's watching something in Korean? I don't know what the heck people are saying. They could be talking about me for all I know. The other situation, where you could know Korean, but no English, zero English, I should say, and, for some reason have found yourself to my channel as if you're a student of mine previously. In which case, not weird. How's it going? You know? I moved into my desk there. I apologize. I taught English in Korea between 2010 and 2011. It's like a decade ago. Pretty much everybody I taught is like a real adult now. Sometimes people go, hey, NL, would it be weird if any of your former students contacted you? The answer to that question is extremely yes. Very much so. But I also recognize, I think I don't want to say I'm in the minority, because I don't know if that's true in this case. But I think I have a different viewpoint on this than a lot of people. I don't really, I mean, even when I graduated high school, I never really cared to keep track of my teachers or like get in touch. Like, I know there were some people, they like go to college and then like when they're on break from college, they'll come back to their high school and be like the cool guy who's in college now. Hey, you remember me? I was a high school senior. Guess what, dummy? Now I'm a freshman in college. I'm 18, the coolest age you can be. Very far from true, by the way, in my opinion at least. You know what's the coolest age you can be? Whatever age you are right now. Take that one to the bank of compliments. Anyway, I was never that guy, you know? I don't want to go back to my high school and flex on people that, like, I sleep in a very tiny room with a man from the greater Toronto area that I had never met before September, but we're going to be friends for the rest of our lives because the algorithm dictated it by putting us together. Never really wanted to be that guy. Anytime I thought about, like, you know, I could go back to my high school today, I just remembered I have myriad other things to do that are way more important. But some people are different. I don't know. I think like a good teacher can make a difference in your life. But I didn't really have any teachers like that. Not because I didn't have great teachers, but because, like, I already was kind of like, I didn't really need saving, I guess, you know what I mean? That's kind of a wow NL moment. But, like, it's just the honest to goodness truth. I had great teachers, but it wasn't like, you know, like a Mr. Holland's Opus, Finding Forrester sort of situation. You know, I just kind of like, you know, I was like, you know, Mr. Blank's a great teacher. And then I went home and, like, you know, did my homework and, you know, moved on with my life. I don't want to waste Mr. Blank's time. He's got a wife and kids, you know? He's got his own life. He's no reason for him to be a weird character in my own narrative. I hate to do this, by the way, but I am getting rid of that. Coward, coward. Just go ahead. Call me a coward right now. It only makes me more powerful. Yeah, I mean, it wouldn't be that weird, I guess. Like, if a former student contacted me and was like, hey, Ryan teacher, I'm Sean. I'd be like, oh, hey. How old are you now? He'd be like, 19. I'd be like, what are you doing? And he's like, still going to school. I'd be like, okay. The end. We don't know each other, Sean. I wish you the best of luck. Not trying to be rude, but like, I don't know what you wanted out of this moment, to be honest. I feel like, maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like, isn't it like if you want to keep in contact with your former teachers, isn't there an air of selfishness to some extent? Like, aren't you fishing for, like... I know that there's gonna be people... Sometimes I'm like, there's gonna be people who disagree with me because they're in this group, and there aren't. This time, I know there are. Because they were like... I only had 80 people in my graduating class, and like 10 of them kept in touch with all the teachers they ever had. So I know that this is gonna be a spicy topic. But aren't you kind of like, you know... like selfishly hoping that they're like, look at what an incredible adult you've grown into, or something. I don't like. Otherwise, I don't understand why you would. Maybe I don't know. It's this weird. Here's the thing. Let me put it this way. I don't believe that like my life's a story. When I was like a teenager, I was like, oh, my life is a narrative and everybody else is just characters in it. As an adult, I'm like, everybody knows on an intellectual level that like everybody's living their own story. But now like I actually feel that. I'm like, everybody else on planet Earth is another human being. They all got their own, hopes, desires, and blah blah blahs. And I'm like, you're not a long-term character in my own handwritten narrative. You taught me how to do long division in 4th grade. I know nothing about you. We met when I was 9 and you were 52. It's not the basis of a healthy friendship. I'm not saying you can't make it work. I'm just saying, even as a 31-year-old. Like, oh yeah, I'm hanging out with Derek this weekend. Oh, really, Derek? What does he do? Oh, he's in school. Oh, like a UBC? No, he's in 5th grade. But we both really like Transformers. So, just kindred spirits. The Hierophant. Anyway, I've lost the plot. Gone down a strange path. I really never got the, like, come back to your high school. Like, you get a decent amount of time off in university, I suppose, but I was like, man, you're trying to act like cool, but how cool can you be when you're like, it's a day off, and I'm 18 or 19 years old? You know what I want to do? Go say hi to a bunch of 16 and 17-year-olds that can't even really hang out to begin with because they're in class right now because it's like freaking May. But this is... Sometimes I forget, and you have to bear with me on this one. Sometimes I forget, like, it's crazy to me. I have been out of school for... This will be the 10th year. So even that is, like, not necessarily that long to be out of school for 10 years. I guess that is when you start to have, like, reunions. But then I think, like, if you're 60, literally you graduated from college, like, 40 years ago. Which is... That number is huge. So it doesn't feel that long. But what does feel long is that I started university. Oh, come on. 14 years ago. That's crazy, dude. That's like a different world. Because I think, like, when I started university, I was 17. No, you weren't. Yes, I was. What, did you get in early or something? No, I just have a late birthday. No, you don't. That's impossible. See, I just want to skip this part of the conversation we have to go through every time. Anyway, I was 17. Well, where I live, that wouldn't... Okay, I don't live where you live. Why would I lie about... It's not like I was 17 when I went to university and I became the world's youngest urologist. We're both watching the same screen right now, right? Anyway, I'm just trying to avoid the presumption that I'm putting on airs. Regardless. If so I started school, or I started college 14 years ago. Then I think back like, man, 14 years before I started college, I was freaking 3 years old. I have like no memory. So if you fold your life in half like that, more or less, really puts it into perspective. It's a long time. I also think, I was thinking about it the other day. I was like, man, I started like getting a little bit more into music in like 2004. I was 15, 16 years old. At the time, music made in like, let's say 1989, I was like, man, that's a golden oldie. That's a classic. That's like my parents' era for music. Now, I'm like, oh, what do I listen to? Oh, predominantly music from 2004, 2005, 2006. Which is the exact same distance from now that, like, the 1989 music was then. But it feels strange. I guess, I don't know if it's, like, a technical thing. But, like, when I was, listening to, like, the Smiths, The Queen is Dead, or, like, Talking Heads, Remain in Light. stuff like that. So it's just a weird flex, but okay. I was always like, you know, it sounds like it's from the 80s. And like 60s music sounds like it's from the 60s. 70s music, you know, if it's not disco, you still get a little 70s vibe from it sometimes. Like just in terms of like the, you know, recording equipment. But like music from 2004 still sounds like the same genre of music from today, I think. I don't know. I don't hear that much indie rock anymore. Except, you know, the indie rock changed after Mumford & Sons and Wagon Wheel, and it became exclusively bearded guys around a campfire going, "Hey! Hey!" It's just like a lot of that, I think. I don't know, I'm kind of ignorant of it, but, you know, that's never stopped me before from having an opinion, I suppose. Just weird to think about it. Basically, the whole gist of this bit is I'm an adult. That's pretty much it. Don't really have anywhere else to go from there. I don't struggle with it. Like, I'm not having like a midlife crisis or anything. I think the thing that's weird or like surreal about being an adult is that for the first, like, I don't know, even like the first 30 years of your life, and I recognize I've only recently exited that corridor, things move like real fast, right? You know, like the difference between like a 3-year-old and a 5-year-old is crazy. And then even still, you know, you always got like a milestone. You know, when you're like a preteen, you're like, oh my God, when I'm a teenager, I got so many milestones. Start high school, learn to drive, apply for colleges, you know, maybe go out on dates or go to school dances or something like that. Get diamond in League of Legends, subscribe to Northernlion on Twitch, etc., etc. All sorts of like really equally important stuff to get done. And then even like as a young adult, you're like, okay, I'm in college, or I'm, you know, learning a trade or something like that. Okay, I gotta graduate, and then like, I don't know, I'm gonna find like a significant other, and you know, you get the idea. Then once you kind of get the, you know, you get all the achievements, you get the pure 1000 gamer score, you're just kind of like, you just sort of live there for a while, right? I think that's what a lot of people struggle with, is that, you know, for a lot of your life, you kind of like, you're working at like the next milestone. But then eventually, it's not like you can ever like run out of milestones, but they stop becoming like as standardized, I guess. Like, it feels so weird now, but like every movie that came out after Fight Club and American Beauty was like, and this is back, you know, in like the year 2000. Every movie was about like a middle-aged dude who hated his life despite it actually being pretty good. And I feel like the culture has changed a ton since then. Like, I feel like so let me tell you, I really like Fight Club as a movie, for sure. It is, and I've said this for a decade now, it is grossly misinterpreted by some dumbos as like a glorification of becoming part of a cult, essentially. You know, everybody's on the same page, I think, by now, but like, for a while after it came out, there were definitely dudes who were like, you know, oh, Tyler Durden's my inspiration. Anyway, so that got taken, the mantle of misinterpreted movie got taken in a big way when The Wolf of Wall Street came out, and every dude with a side hustle thought he was Jordan Belfort all of a sudden. But let's get over that. But Fight Club definitely, like, it fits the bill. Ed Norton is like, I hate my job, and like my girlfriend is kind of boring me sometimes, and oh, I have to make payments on my furniture, you know? Same, you know, in American Beauty, Lester Burnham, like, they don't have a perfect life, you know, there's problems, but he has like a stable family, you know, he has a white-collar job that's afforded him the ability to buy, you know, a nice home in a nice neighborhood. He's got a social life, but he's unhappy with it. And you're like, why? Like, at the time, you're like, oh, I get it, dude. Like, when I first saw that movie, I was like, I'm blown away. This movie's like, it speaks to me on a real level, dude. So bored with my, like, nice parents. And, like, my stable life afforded by their white-collar careers. Now when I look back, I think part of it is like, you know, it's weird to say. I'm not a cultural critic, you know, I'm not an anthropologist, and I don't really get into politics and stuff like that. But around, like, you know, that era, I feel like there was, like, a lot of optimism. And then there was, like, you know, 9/11, 2008, financial crisis, Occupy Wall Street, you know, an incredibly widening gap between the haves and the have-nots, and you know, you get the general gist of it. I feel like we are now living in a much more pessimistic era. I'm not saying the pessimism is the problem. The pessimism might just be like, you know, acknowledging that a problem exists. And it makes all those movies where these guys have, like, you know, a beautiful family and a stable life and a career that they can stay in every day that they want to until they die or retire. It makes those guys seem like huge whiny babies. It's basically what it comes down to. I'm not saying, by the way, that I'm in a bad place in my life. You know, we've gotten lucky for sure. You know, there's an element of, like, hustle involved, but there's also an element of, you know, like, timing for sure. But anytime I watch a movie like that now, I'm like, oh man, your life seems like really bad. You're married to Annette Bening, and you have a high 5-figure job, and you bought a home in the 1990s before prices went up 400% over the course of, like, you know, the ensuing 15 years, even though wages only rose, you know, like 8% in that same time period. Wow, Lester, life must be so hard for you. You know, they were made in a different climate. That's all I'm saying. It doesn't make the movies bad, although, you know, some movies, when people talk about movies aging badly, usually it's because they use, like, a word that we don't use anymore. And that's definitely, it happens all the time. But, like, you know, I think they can also kind of age out, culturally speaking. Where you're just like I think it lends itself to being ineffective filmmaking now. If they tried to make American Beauty now, I think critics would be like, I don't really see why this guy is complaining. Okay, so he's got... It's kind of like Garden State, and I kind of like Garden State, even though it's so saccharine sometimes that it makes me cringe a little bit. But, you know, when I was 16, I was like, this is the greatest movie I ever made. And it also introduced me to a little-known platinum-selling band called The Shins. But you're kind of like, man, your problems are not real problems. Which is not fair, because there's some problems in that movie that Zach Braff has. But anyway, just feels like it's from a different time, you know? That's my thoughts on that subject. Be hard to make a movie like that now. Not Garden State. American Beauty. The Wolf of Wall Street always gets me. Like, I think when I saw The Wolf of Wall Street, I was like, this is a good movie. And then when I talked to people who were like, yeah, I've modeled my life around it, I was like, did we watch the same movie where they, like, are on drugs so much that they can't even function, and also, like, extremely got arrested for, like, super fraud? And I'm pretty sure the dude's wages are still garnished now, 26 years after the events in the film took place. Like, that's what you want for your life? Honestly, I think it comes down to Margot Robbie. I think that's a powerful screen presence. She was so good in that role. She tricked 750,000 young men into thinking they wanted that life. I don't know, maybe they do. I'm trying to think, if I had to take, like, a movie character's life, the thing is, it wouldn't be a very good movie. I would be like, hey, give me the movie of the guy who, like, invented something cool and then was never heard from again because he and his family went to live in the woods. NL, that's Manhunt Unabomber. Look, okay? It's a good joke. I respect you for it. But please don't suggest I share the same political beliefs as Theodore Kaczynski. He was an anarchist. I'm an atheist. There's a difference, sweetheart. You're getting gold today. All sorts of dynamite jokes. That was pun not intended. I regretted it right after I said it. I don't think I've placed a single frame of this run into my memory for actual, like, you know, obviously storage, but storage and processing since we picked up Dr. Fetus. If you ask me what's happened on this run, like, are there any noteworthy moments recently? I couldn't answer with one. I think we just kind of... It's the easiest run we've had in a while. Just kind of coasting. Not complaining, for the record. I'm, you know, pretty pleased about it, but... I'll tell you, if I have a regret, and I don't think I do, but if I had a regret about what I took on this run, Tractor Beam is probably the closest to being up there. Tractor Beam with these bombs, they're hard enough to, like, land where you want them to land. Tractor Beam is not helping. Confirmed not helping. But at least we have a kind of new and cool synergy with Bob's bladder. See, you thought I didn't remember the name. James West, Tame in the West, so remember the name. Now who you gonna call? Not the GBs. Now who you gonna call? J-Dub and AG. If you got a riff with people want to bust, break out before you get bum rushed. And that's where the person at karaoke with the deepest voice, which is often me, goes, Wild Wild West. And then, you know, you repeat that a couple of times, then the person at karaoke who is the best singer goes, We're going straight to the Wild Wild West. I can't do that. I don't like doing that part. That's not a part that suits me. But that's okay. You take the good with the bad. That's why, you know, we don't do karaoke that often. Probably like once every 2 years would be my guess. But I like rap for karaoke. I think sometimes karaoke rap gets a bad rap. There's a couple of reasons for that. One, it requires no singing talent, which is largely true, and that's largely why I do it. But secondly, people put rap songs on and then don't actually know the words. They just know the part where it goes, Low Street in the Range Rover, boom, boom, baby, ready to let it go. They don't know anything else, so they just mumble their way through with no cadence or care. But I like rap because most pop rap songs have a singable part that allows everybody to get in on the action, you know? Like even, you know, something like Gin and Juice by Snoop Dogg. It has a singable hook. So you got one part, Snoop Dogg, you know. Later on that day, my homie Dr. Dre came through with a gang of Tanqueray. Now that I think about it, that's nothing but a G thing. It's a different song. But that one doesn't really have a singable part, I'll admit. But Gin and Juice has, you know, I don't love them blanks. I'm out the dough, and I'll be. And then the people that don't know the rap words or feel self-conscious about rapping go, rolling down the street, smoking something, sipping on gin and juice. And then you get to come back and be like laid back. I support a rap karaoke dynamic. I do. I'm not afraid to admit it. But most karaoke joints have a very terrible rap selection. Of like 5 rap songs. They're all by New Kids on the Block. So you gotta be like, hey, hey. Begrudging karaoke is not the best karaoke. I can't believe, I was about to say like the run is potentially in a spotty position. And like on a literal level, there's a modest agree, or a degree of truth to that. But, like, with Holy Mantle, 4 HP, and an orbital, it would be a truly devastating turn of events. And Succubus. Like, I'll level with you. Should we have taken this much damage? No, but if you've already passed the class, you're probably not going to study as hard. So just avoid the real catastrophe. Carry this one through. It's this dang tractor beam, dude. The beating of that telltale heart. Okay. We've certainly, probably done it. Don't get cocky, though. Like, you can use your orbital, but don't use it right away. It's a little surreal to me, like, how good this week has been for my performance in video games. Of course, because the videos come out at a staggered pace, you're gonna be like, hasn't been that good. Well, you haven't been recording them in machete order, okay? I've been recording them in machete order. And we've gotten some really, really consistent results lately that you might not be privy to, okay? I am trying to toot my own horn. And toot, toot. For now, thanks for watching. Hope you guys have enjoyed the episode. If you did, click the like button. That was a great deal. Of course, subscribe if you want to see more in the future. For now, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. See ya!